Whilst Mike Teke joins me now for a much abbreviated conversation, because Seriti has got no future after that input from the special advisor. I'm very worried about being an Afrikaner and an engineer, because we are romanticizing the Afrikaners running the power grids to the point that my accent will probably get me a job now. So we have to be very careful about the romanticized past. Let's talk about the future. Mr. Seriti, come sit here near your, you sit near your branding. Be smart about it.
Yeah. Which one?
Wait, sit
Let's
here.
Take this.
Yeah.
One. Sure.
You are the big voice of the industry, or the ugly face of coal. No, not true. Talk to us about, start with the inputs from our special advisor to the minister. He gives a context to the coal industry. Do you want to link the conversation by starting there?
Well, it was clear that coal will still be here, and he supports the view that the coal-fired power stations he's talking about, we still have,
15 years and beyond.
Yeah, we've got 15 coal-fired power stations. I'm saying 16 or 15. And they'll still be here. He's talking about 15 years. Probably my difference with him would be, I would say, 20 years.
Can I just check? When I sit here, I hear him sounding like he's a rock star. Can you sort that? Okay. I don't want him to sound like that.
He is. Sure. So the difference we would have is that the 15 years for me would be more than that. It's maybe 20 years. And that's number one. Number two, he talks about the Integrated Resources Program, which a lot of people say IRP, or they talk about the energy mix. For me, I talk about both, and I'm saying whether you talk energy mix or you're talking IRP, coal will still be there. Coal will play an important role. And beyond coal, then he talks about renewables. You know very well, Bernard, that we as Seriti made a conscious decision that part of our strategy is not only being a coal business, but we are an energy business now. Why? We've invested in renewables, and we've invested specifically in Seriti Green. And a lot of people will criticize you, greenwashing, whatever. I don't spend time in noises and politics. I'm a pragmatic person. We're saying as a business, the interests of this continent are that for it to survive and be big and be strong and compete globally, we need a strong energy base as a continent. So let's start in our country, strengthen our energy mix, and that is why we've invested in Seriti Green. So there are huge opportunities in energy for us.
So Seriti's sort of time horizon, 10 years, still in coal, but bigger in renewables. So just give us a sense of, you started as a coal mining company and you added a little bit of renewables, which is growing. Just unpack that for us.
We started the business looking for opportunity to start, because mining is something that is part of our lives. I've been in mining for more than 20 years, and we saw an opportunity when Anglo offloaded the assets. Then there was a second company that was South 32, and we agglomerated the two assets. They worked well because we had domestic assets supplying Eskom, and then we had South 32, and we had an export opportunity. So that was the business in coal at the time. And as a board, we decided that strategically we need to be in energy, and that is why we saw an opportunity, and we met a super competent person, Peter. Then you'll talk to him later. And we invested in Seriti, in Seriti Green, and we created Seriti Green. Today, as I speak to you, probably wind turbine number 4 is coming up. The strategy is clear in Seriti. Number one, we will make sure that we drive our commitment, our imperatives within the ESG environment to ensure that we address issues related to environment, social, and governance. It's not a joke. It's a serious matter that we take seriously. So the whole story of climate change, I don't get involved in those debates and say it exists or not. It's real. Second part for us is to make sure that we run our domestic mines. I'm talking about mines that are dedicated to Eskom. Cost-plus mines, whatever contract we have, we are going to be super efficient, and pricing becomes an important role. The cost competitiveness plays an important role. Third one is our export opportunities. We know that as a country, Transnet is a challenge, and we are helping. We want to help Transnet. I don't sit outside and say, let's criticize Transnet. In a perfect world, I would have loved to see us as a country obviously exporting around 90 million tons a year, but we're sitting at between 50 and 60. Right for now, we make sure that we focus on our business. The fourth important thing was, then let's decide, what do we do? Do we invest in Seriti Green? Do we like renewables or not? It's not a debate. We said as part of the entire energy mix, we want to play, that is why we are an energy business, and the logo has changed from black, as you can see, and orange, and now you see it differently because you've got the orange, which is more the coal side, or the energy side, and then the green, obviously renewables, and the blue, which is water. You'll see that growing over a period of time. And the most important part for us is Seriti is looking for opportunities. We are acquisitive. We are growing organically. We've just built 68 kilometers from what we build, where we're building the wind turbines. We're building Nodia's Bank, which is a coal mining business. So nobody will turn around and say, are you shifting focus from coal to renewables? No, there's a balance. We're running a proper business. Yesterday we had a board meeting to explain to the board how we deploy our capital in terms of renewables and coal. So the new coal mine that exists, Nodia's Bank, is ramping up. It's going to replace some of the tonnages we might have lost in some of the mines that are becoming older.
I want to test, so you've got shareholders, but it's a closer group. You don't have external shareholders and you're not publicly listed. However, the challenge of taking your stakeholders along, your employees, your communities, in this message of we are a coal mining company, coal is still important, we're an energy company, renewables is an add-on. People must worry. Your coal miners must worry that you are, abandoning coal or moving away from, or how do you manage, let's talk about internal stakeholders. How do you get them to buy into this? I'm a coal miner, but you're building wind
It's
turbines.
an interesting conversation where, one, you need to be truthful, and we're driven by integrity. What I mean by that is, we have a mine in Standerton next to a township called Sakile. There are several towns closer. You've got Bethal, you've got Brayton, you've got Duffel, you've got Emelo, all those towns, and you've got a township next to New Denmark Collieries. It's a mine. New Denmark has been there for years. And when the employees at New Denmark, not far from that, they're seeing the wind turbines coming up. You need to be clear that we're not replacing, we're not shutting down New Denmark. New Denmark will continue to mine coal and produce coal for Tutuga Power Station. Interesting enough, the synergies that are now existing between what we're seeing with the employees who are moving across to go and work at Seriti Green or at the building site of the wind turbines, there is that synergy. But realistically, the wind, the Seriti Green, what you're seeing there, the MTS, all those transmission areas, what we have built, are not going to replace employees who used to be employed at the mine. Let's be clear. So as we build coal, as we build Seriti Green, we continue to invest in coal. It is a different strategy from where you say, I'm building a wind turbine this side, but that mine must shut down. We're closing, we're losing interest. I still spend time at those mines, and I still believe that New Denmark will be there. It's one example. The second example I can give you is that I said to you, as we're building the wind turbine 68 kilometers down the road in the town of Carolina, we've just built a new mine there in Nodia's Bank. We're employing new employees, we're bringing employees, but I'm a human being, Bernard. It's real that when employees start to see that the concern you're raising, they are seeing that and they are saying, will I still be here in 20 years? Can I still buy my car? Can I can I pay my bond? Will I still be here tomorrow? Or will the whole country be run by renewables? No. Coal will still be here for the coming 20 years.
So perhaps Seriti is doing it better than what we did it nationally. The national narrative about just energy transition started off as evil coal, shut it down, including the coal power stations, and built solar plants in the Northern Cape. So what went wrong in the national narrative? And is that still true?
I took advantage of that national narrative. I listened to that narrative years ago. When I was at Optimum, I used to listen to that conversation, and I said to myself, in every calamity there's an opportunity, so they say, and I must look for those opportunities. And the opportunity then is when people, that narrative was happening, a lot of people, you're right, were moving towards, I'm going to invest in solar panels, we're going to build in Northern Cape, and everybody was looking at Northern Cape. Apparently the sun is different in Northern Cape. The point from me was then, if there's anyone who wants to sell a coal business, we are going to buy. And we started to look for the opportunities. The second one, if you read the annual reports of the listed global mining houses, BHP, Glencore, Rio Tinto, and the like at the time, you notice that they were starting to be jittery about investing in coal. And we positioned ourselves. And we said, we want to go in. When anybody sells any asset related to coal, we want to buy. And that's how we took advantage of that. And I still believe, sitting here, I have no doubt, and that is why I keep on mentioning that as part of our strategy, Seriti is not a seller of any coal asset. We've disposed of assets in coal which we're not going to develop because we wanted to empower junior miners. We've disposed a lot and gave them to junior miners because we still believe in the future of coal. But those assets that fit into our trajectory of, in our box of growth, a future, sustainability, and we believe that we can run them, we will develop. Yes.
So it was a few years ago, I think at the Coal Day, where the representative of the Presidential Committee on Climate Change and you met each other, and he's made many pronouncements by then without ever talking to you as a significant coal player. Tell me that those days are past. Tell me that we are talking to each other now.
I'm a business person, but I'm a teacher as well. So I teach a lot of people. You know, we go through an argument and tomorrow people repent and start to understand where we're going to. At that time, the view that he was presenting, his view was that we are coal miners. We are coal miners, we cause carbon emissions, coal is dirty, we're killing. It was all those narratives. And I sat with that person you were talking about. And I said, you need to understand that energy is the future of every economy. Aliko Dangote in Nigeria has built a massive oil refinery. It needs energy. In South Africa, between now, as I speak to you, there are between 50 and 70 data centers. And a data center is going to gobble a lot of energy, and you know what it does to energy in any country. Stop worrying about the future of coal, whether it's dirty or clean. Focus on building a proper energy mix that will help us build an economy, create jobs, and have a future. And I think we are aligned now. If not, then probably that lesson hasn't gone through very well.
So, you know, 50 years ago was in gold mining. We lived for the price will go up.
Yes.
After I left, the price is going up. When I look at coal, the price is not going up.
Yeah.
When I look at renewables, you guys spin us a story that the price is going to come down. I haven't seen that yet. So what the hell are you doing in a business where coal prices seems to be coming down, or is that a short-term thing? Renewable energy prices apparently is on a race to zero, if you believe the proponents of renewable. That's not a smart business positioning, is it?
It is a smart business position. Let me
Help
explain
me
to you.
understand. Be the teacher and explain to me.
Exactly. So I'm an investor in agriculture. I love agriculture. And when I talk to the farmers I invest in, I choose the farmer who says to me, I don't care about the rain and the weather, I run my farm. In our mining business, we run the mines. We don't worry about coal prices. I can't do anything if I wake up in the morning and watch the exchange rate and the API for. What can I do? I make sure that I'm super efficient in running our mines. I make sure that we are cost competitive, and I make sure that our employees are well developed and trained. We've turned the mines around in such a way that you can be proud of what you're seeing at each one of these mines, simply because of efficiencies. And you've done it at Harmony. You know how to take what we call proverbially a dog and clean it out of the fleas. You've done it at Harmony. We've done that with the coal mines we have. They are now a fleet of mines that are cost competitive, and they will be profitable at a certain level of the coal price. Do I wake up in the morning and say, what is the API for, and then become gloomy? No. Leave it alone.
So, without dwelling on the past, when in my days we took a mine over from a bigger company, safety, everybody believed safety is going to go to the wall. how's your safety doing? How's this turnaround of other people's assets playing out operationally in safety?
Bernard, when we started, the combination of the Anglo asset and the South 82 asset taught us a lesson that the cultural differences in this business is imperative that you watch safety 24/7. We have seen a change in terms of our safety record, and not only as a company. The challenge that we're sitting now, that's big. In our mining industry right now, our safety record has improved substantially. We are heading into the month of August, touch wood, and we work hard at it. The coal industry is sitting at 0 fatalities now. And we are around July, and we're hoping that we can stay at 0 throughout. Number two, I'm seeing that the programs that we're implementing, we just had a coal safe now in May. All the mining companies, and when I speak about coal specifically, we're driving that relentlessly. So what I've learned over the years is that, one, watch the cultures of the companies that you're bringing together. They may be different. People have a different view of safety. The emphasis may be different. Right now, having combined it, the Seriti way of doing safety, of driving safety, is the same. We are aligned, and we speak in the same language.
So, sorry, it's not that you're becoming so boring that I have to scroll through the API 4 prices. That's what you said. I don't even know what the hell that means. But the special advisor said the solution is simple. Coal miners give us cheaper coal. You are the largest supplier to Eskom, are you?
Yeah.
Domestic supplier. Why don't you give us cheaper coal?
We're doing our best to be productive in producing the coal, as I said, cost competitively. Number one, we have contracts with Eskom, and we work well in that partnership and relationship to ensure that we control the costs very well. They probably, Eskom, if somebody is coming to present here, will give you a view of whether Seriti has improved from a cost competitive point of view or not. But if where I sit, I think we've improved, and we act in the interest of the country. I mean, if you run four cost-plus mines, those 4 cost-plus mines are important for us to ensure that we give Eskom cheap coal, and we'll do our best, and we'll continue to.
And, I mean, in this romanticizing the past, which I find hilariously interesting and hilarious, the good old days, was cost-plus mines the solution to Eskom's challenges? I mean, did we throw the baby out with the bathwater by moving away from cost-plus mines?
Well, I think we should have done more in building more cost-plus mines. I think the model would have worked for some of the...
They were also tied to a specific...
colliery
and therefore the logistics
Exactly, and that is why there are people who would say we're exporting everything and we're going to leave Eskom stranded, and I'm saying no, because all the cost-plus mines don't export any, not a single ton. All the coal is dedicated to a specific power station. So if you look at Kutala, our mine, we are dedicated to Kendal Power Station. You'll never export even a single ton out of Kutala. That coal is dedicated to the power station. So that model, in my view, had we extended to other power stations, it would have worked well.
The contradiction for us, for me as a non-coal miner, is we're not going to build new coal power stations, according to the special advisor, and he makes the case it's not fundable. Yeah. I hope to hear different inputs during the day. We have an old fleet that is aging of existing power stations. You are the key supplier. So from where I sit, so coal as a contributor to our generation is declining. Is that your view when you plan your coal mines, your domestic supply coal mines? Are you assuming declining demand?
I don't see that. I don't see the decline. I still see the power stations burning coal, number one. Number two, I would have loved one big power station to be built in the Waterberg, because there's lots of coal in the Waterberg. Yes, you've got 2 big power stations. You've got Dupi and we've got Matimba, which are 96 gigawatts, both of them. I would have added 1 because we've got coal. Number 2, the funding, I think there are different models that we could explore. It's funny that coal is not funded and people shut the door on coal, but nobody is shutting the funding to internal combustion engine cars, which are manufactured all the time, and the shipping industry and other industries that are carbon emitters. No,
That's why you don't get invited to the Platinum Day, see?
I understand. So, fact of the matter is that, Bernard, I see the coal, I see coal production not declining, number one. I see the power station staying for longer and burning more coal. And number three, I would have loved an opportunity to build an extra, just one coal-fired power station. Extra, yeah.
Can I quickly scroll through a few of the questions? Dear Mr. Teke.
Yes.
Somebody calls you Mr. Teke, Mike.
It's my grandfather.
What potential risks, headwinds, and benefits do you see with all future renewable bid windows being announced upfront, like the ministry alluded to? Will it be great if you knew exactly what bid windows are coming up?
I would have loved to have them outlined so that we understand the strategy into the future. I made a comment a month ago in a meeting, I won't mention which meeting it was. I said, I would love to see us having what we call the end game. I'll give an example. Transnet says to you, we are going to reach 250 million tons in terms of bulk moves.
Yeah.
On the coal, on the energy side, I'd love all of us to sit around the table and say, South Africa, with the population growing at 64 million people and growing on and on,
Yeah.
the end game in terms of gigawatts as a country, energy mix, we need 80 gigawatts. And for us to go to 80 gigawatts, you guys at coal, you will sit at 43% of the 80 gigawatts. You renewables, we want X, just like that, and then be able to open all those bid windows and address that. But right at the moment, we're saying, yeah, we've got around 46 gigawatts as a country,
Yeah,
and we're using 30, and we're not sure when is load shedding, maybe at 26 or 31, and next week, Monday, it's the 28th of July, probably it will be the coldest day of the month. Where will we? Nobody gives you that. So I would have loved to have the end game of, what does South Africa need in 10 years? And to get there, how do we go there?
So the narrative in the last 2 years has changed. The engineers took over. They proudly call themselves engineers. As an engineer, I relate. They speak facts, they speak numbers. But perhaps what we need next is a visionary.
Yes.
A vision of 20 years into the future, and let the engineers then work towards that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, we'll employ the engineers. We'll drive the vision, they will build.
Yeah. The engineers mustn't just run the country like damn engineers all the time now. So one of the next inputs is going to say that South Africa's coal industry's productivity is shocking and declining. Are you going to be surprised at that? And if that is true, isn't that a significant contributor to the other yield?
You must remember there are vested interests in the world. There are people who may say that because they are selling some product that would help you. That's fine.
Yes.
And if the productivity is declining, then it means the message is let's improve. But if I were to speak for our businesses, Seriti, I would say we are improving and we're looking decent in terms of, I'll give you an example that we spend time on things like direct operating hours per machine, as an example, on an underground CM. What are we achieving? What are we getting? I'm satisfied and I'm getting there, and the journey that we're traveling is taking us to the level where we're proud of the numbers, what we are achieving. And our customers may, if Eskom is here, they will tell you that they are seeing those improvements. But if there's somebody who's selling a product that would say that will help the mining industry, of course they will say they are declining in some areas. But speaking for our business, I will tell you, and I'll vouch for that, that we are there. We are on top of it.
Because we are, and that's happened in other parts of our mining industry. Coal is becoming very South African. Internationals are selling out. So the automatic built-in benchmarking of the past is falling away. Your South 32 assets aren't being benchmarked anymore against the Australians and the Colombians. Are you doing that benchmark?
We're doing it internally, we're doing it. And they may exit, Bernard, but reality of the matter, we still export coal. And as we export coal, we're competing.
With the rest of the world.
The coal that goes into India doesn't only come from South Africa. There's coal from Australia, there's coal from Indonesia. Japan is buying coal all over the place. So we're competing and we can benchmark.
These coal people, they are so late. Now I get 500 questions, people. Really? What's up with you? RBCT,
RBCT, I've served RBCT as a director. I've worked with the RBCT team. I'm proud of RBCT. It's a well-run machine, and the CEO is sitting somewhere here. It's not because I'm buying his face, but it's a machine that I believe if Transnet were to improve and say we can do 70, we can do 80, we can do 90, I think RBCT will live up to that expectation.
they will
And
get fit.
they will get fit and we will run and they'll deliver.
A quick question. We are stealing a little bit of your time
Sure.
because Silas stole all of our time. There was a question. It goes to the issue of funding insurance. I was aware, and I think it featured in the past, that it becomes difficult to find insurance. Now, Seriti, you can probably self-insure
Yeah.
because you've got a balance sheet. Is this a big issue for juniors in the space?
It's becoming a big issue, number one. There are, yes, insurance companies, and the position is changing with a lot of insurance companies becoming apprehensive about the whole issue of insuring or supporting us from an insurance point of view as coal mining companies. On our side, as Seriti specifically, yeah, we are exploring options to have cell captives, a cell captive that we will take care of our own insurance, but we still work with the insurance companies. That level of apprehension is there, yes.
Final question. So this negative trend, and we will fund bombs and ammunition, but not coal mining. Is there a change in that trend? Is coal still the swear word, and all these fantastic center and head offices built on mining and coal mining, will they not fund coal any?
There was an aggressive move by the banks globally. You remember when they started that against carbon, and the international banks saw the end of the term for President Biden, and when President Trump came in, all those banks resigned from that alliance and started saying, no, we are out of this alliance. So it's banking. Reality of the matter is the banks work with us. We do work with banks in South Africa. We've got partnerships with banks. They support us. But you hear the noise. I'm one of those people, Bernard, in a leadership role where I say, I'm not deterred by such things and I don't get discouraged. So knocking at those doors at the banks, my message to you is that the doors are open.
Very encouraging. Ladies, gentlemen, the ugly face of coal sounds quite sensible, eh? Thank you very much, Mr. Mike Teke. Thank you very much. Moving on to a presentation by Vuslat. If you think you have heard people who are supportive of coal, you immediately think of our own dinosaur minister, that 70-year-old guy who's so passionate about coal. He has a younger version. This man is as passionate as Gwede about coal. But Vuslat is going to give us a very interesting perspective today. Vuslat, thank you for joining us, and please come and make your presentation. I know you've got many slides. If it's possible to get to Q&A, that will be fantastic.
No problem. Thank you. Thanks, Menar. I actually did the rehearsal yesterday. I can make it 20 minutes.
Oh, good.
Good morning, everybody. And Bernard and Paula, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about coal. So I want to bring a different perspective. I know, like we talked a lot about South African facts. Silas mentioned, and Mike gave you the perspective about Eskom, about export, RBCT. I want to talk about the future of coal and the future of energy. And I will actually, during this presentation, I'll share 3 videos. Bear with me. I hope that audio is going to be good, but it's relevant. So I want to start with this video. And this is a video, a clip from a movie called Matrix that was done in 1999. And it's talking about artificial intelligence.
Welcome to the desert. of the real.
We have only bits and pieces of information, but what we know for certain is that at some point in the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth to AI.
AI? You mean artificial intelligence?
A singular consciousness that spawned an entire race of machines. We don't know who struck first, us or them, but we know that it was us that scorched the sky. At the time, they were dependent on solar power, and it was believed that they would be unable to survive without an energy source as abundant as the sun. Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony.
The human body generates more bioelectricity than a 120-volt battery and over 25,000 BTUs of body heat. Combined with a form of fusion, the machines had found all the energy they would ever need. There are fields, endless fields, where human beings are no longer born. We are grown.
Okay, so in this scene, Morpheus is talking about the early 21st century, the days when we celebrate the invention of AI, in other words, today. Those who watched this film in the cinemas in 1999 called it a dystopia, the product of creative imagination. Today we call it the worst possible future scenario. And today no country is ready for this approaching future, not even the Americans who made this movie. But it's amazing, like what they saw in 1999 about today and about artificial intelligence. So I'll show you another very short slide.
I pointed out to him that I'd done the calculation on the amount of energy required, and I then, in the spirit of full disclosure, went to the White House on Friday and told them that we need to become best friends with Canada, because Canada has really nice people, helped invent AI, and lots of hydropower. Because we as a country do not have enough power to do this. The alternative is to have the Arabs.
Okay, so Eric Schmidt is the former CEO of Google, and he gave a speech at Stanford University, and they uploaded this video on YouTube, and then they deleted it later on. So in the speech, he remarked as Canada must be the US's best friend because of their hydropower. This was before Trump took the office, but the White House was already being briefed on America's skyrocketing energy needs to fuel the AI boom. And that Trump's first policy move upon returning to the office was seize Canada. So apparently here we understand what friendship means to Trump. So there are two narratives about AI. The first narrative is it evolution's final step? AI is the upgraded model of humanity, a natural but dangerous leap in evolution? Are we creating our replacement? The extinction of weaker species, us. The second narrative is another brilliant invention, which is like the wheel, the light bulb, the steam engine, a tool to ease our lives and elevate our potential. AI as the next chapter in human convenience. So is AI our final invention or our finest one? There's uncertainty. This is not about the answers yet, but about the scale of the shift. AI is not just technological leap, but it's a philosophical one. So the soul has been built, but now we are building the body. So what I mean with that is we don't know the end game, but the shift has begun. We have created the mind in the form of AI models like ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini. Now we are embedding that mind into systems, devices, and industries. From servers to robots, the embodiment of AI is underway. So there are short-term realities, like digital twins become personal assistants. Like, I don't know if you watch ChatGPT CEO, Sam Altman, he's an impressive guy. But you might have devices soon that you would talk to him and say, listen, book for 3 people at Big Mart tonight for 7 o'clock, and he will do that. So you won't need personal assistance anymore. Or you'll be able to book your plane tickets. So they are talking about the devices, then we will end up getting like cell phones, another device which is going to be working on AI models and helping our lives in different ways. AI in healthcare, real-time diagnosis, predictive health monitoring, and personalized treatment and illness prevention. End of traditional lecturing, like the human teachers become more like mentors and coaches, and rise of AI-powered adaptive learning. The collapse of low-skilled labor, which is dangerous for South Africa, but that's a reality of the world. Automation will erase repetitive and routine jobs, and freelance and gig-based economies will grow. So on the automated manufacturing side, autonomous production lines and minimal human oversight will be needed. So these are bad news for unions. So interesting fact, a recent survey found out that around 70% of AI users are polite to AI systems. Maybe this comes from watching too much science fiction, but some survey participants confess to being nice to AI in case robots take over the world one day. So they don't want to leave a bad footprint in the digital. To secure their safety in this uncertain future, they use polite words like please and thank you when utilizing ChatGPT. But the other side of this is that additional phrases could be putting strain on resources. As you see in this cartoon, the guy almost survives a robot attack in 2050 because he was nice to AI, but in the end he gets slapped in the face for wasting electricity. So a few months ago, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman hinted on X post that adding polite words like please and thank you when using ChatGPT could be costing the company millions of dollars in electricity bills. This sparked a debate. The use of polite language may seem trivial, but each additional phrase when using ChatGPT requires more processing power and increased demand on data centers. So AI requires large computing resources which generate heat and need sophisticated cooling systems. And it needs more water, especially clean water, not seawater, because it causes corrosion. And they are even thinking about taking the systems into the space because of the challenges of cooling. So some experts have argued that the costs associated with adding polite phrases are insignificant. However, this conversation is really about the growing demand for energy in the future, driven by a rapidly digital world. So in this presentation, I will be using AI as an example of how a high-tech world requires more and more energy, and how sustainable coal is the key baseload to supply. So asking a simple question like how to peel a banana on ChatGPT requires 10 times more energy than a Google search. And Google did something interesting. They created their own AI, and they are actually finishing Google. So you're not really using Google for your researches anymore. You're using like ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok. So artificial intelligence has become a dominant part of everyday modern life and economic activity. And its use is projected to grow at a faster pace, increasing demand for energy going forward. To illustrate, we look at a scenario where 1,000 human workers are replaced by 1,000 robots in a car manufacturing plant. In this case, energy consumption increases more than 10 times. As the automation trends take over, robots will place more tasks currently performed by humans. This map shows, sorry, how do I go back? Okay. This map shows the AI data centers clusters across the world. An AI data center cluster is a group of data centers located within 100 kilometers of each other. At a large scale, an AI data center can have a capacity of 100 megawatt or more, consuming as much electricity as annually for 100,000 households. Growing investment in data centers is already straining grids in some places. There are 6 states in the US where data centers already consume over 10% of the combined electricity supply, with Virginia leading at 25%. I guess it's about Pentagon and CIA being in Virginia. The rest of the world is responsible for about 10% of the total data center electricity consumption, with Southeast Asia and India accounting for a significant portion of that. So according to research from Oxford University, the top 3 countries with the most AI compute infrastructure are US with 26, China at 24, and Germany at 7. So globally, about 33 countries host data centers capable of AI training. So US, Europe, and China account for around 85% of global electricity consumption from data centers. And the US electricity consumption from data centers grew by around 12% a year between 2015 and 2024. And data centers accounted for around 180 terawatt hour of electricity consumption in 2024 in US, whereas this number in China, in Europe, is about 70 terawatt hour. And China accounts 25% of global data center electricity consumption. So US is the fastest growing market for data centers. It's clear, and meeting this demand will require considerably more electricity than is currently produced in the United States. So earlier this year, Trump signed an executive order to revive the US coal industry. Section 10 of this order specifically states that reviving the coal industry in the US is also meant to support AI data centers. So it refers to expanding coal-based infrastructure to power data centers to meet the electricity demands of AI and high-performance computing operations. So between 2024 and 2030, the power demand for data centers in the United States is expected to increase by 23%. And this graph shows the plants that will be retiring in the United States, but a recent report shows from the US Energy Department warns that closure of remaining fossil fuel power plants could trigger severe blackouts. Like Silas mentioned, Europe is already experiencing that, like Portugal, Spain, Germany, and lately, I think it happened 2 days ago in Holland. So according to the report, blackouts in the US could increase 100 times in the next 5 years. So the report makes specific reference to electricity demand driven by AI data centers. It blames the expected electricity shortfall on the closures of coal, natural gas fired power stations, and the over-reliance on renewable energy. So there are plans to close 100 gigawatts of coal power by 2035 in the US. However, there's pushback from Trump administration and the utilities that have delayed closures. Okay. So like all energy-intensive sectors, AI requires baseload power generated through reliable resources like coal. Baseload power is crucial to AI infrastructure, as the slightest interruption in power could cause costly delays and loss of data. So India's electricity generation mix reflects how coal dominates its grid, providing baseload power and supporting its data center capacity. So India is growing into a massive data center market. As of 2024, India had 2 gigawatts of total installed data center capacity in operation, together consuming an electricity equivalent of 6.5 million Indian households. So this graph is very interesting. China produces more electricity than US, India, and EU combined. And I think this race is won by China already. They are the manufacturing hub of the world, and we all use Chinese goods. Trump is trying to bring it back to United States, but it doesn't seem realistic to me, because China is way ahead of all of the other countries in the world. And globally, electricity consumption is increasing, nearly 2 times the annual average of the past decade, and China saw this and they invested heavily on coal-fired power stations and created the capacity. So electricity generation from coal is an all-time high at the moment. It's 10,700 terawatt hour in 2024. India, 73% coal, China, 58% coal, Southeast Asia, 46% coal, and the global electricity demand increased by 4.3% in 2024, a step change from 2.5% growth in 2023. Global coal capacity rose to 2,175 gigawatt since the Paris Agreement was signed in 2015. And most of this growth came from China, which commissioned 30.5 gigawatt of coal-fired capacity in 2024 alone. 70% of the global total. Outside China, coal-fired power capacity decreased by 9.2 gigawatts. This graph shows that coal production reached 8.5 billion tons in 2024 from 8 billion tons. And to give you perspective, South Africa is producing about 200 million tons of coal. And electricity generation, like I earlier said, it's 10,700 terawatt hour from coal. So global coal demand continues its shift eastward with developing economies, including China, India, and Southeast Asian countries, consuming 3/4 of total demand in 2024. So clearly, coal is still an important part of global energy generation, and it will continue to be for the foreseeable future. Trump's idea of burning clean, beautiful coal is not far-fetched. The rise of carbon capture, utilization, and storage technologies in the future will make it possible to burn coal more sustainably. And coal plant closures are being postponed currently in at least 28 states in the United States, with utilities choosing to retrofit their power plants with carbon capture technologies. About 25.4 gigawatt of coal capacity closure in the US was delayed between 2017 and 2024. By the end of 2022, 65 carbon capture projects were operating globally, capturing nearly 41 million tons of CO2 per year. Another 478 projects are in development, aiming to add 599 million tons of capacity. If completed, global CCUS capacity could reach 623 million tons annually by 2030. So CCUS is a key tool for decarbonization, and this is applicable for South Africa. And I'll share another video clip, and then I'll say my last words and finish.
What we need from you, if I may say that directly, is we need energy in all forms, renewable, non-renewable, whatever. It needs to be there, and it needs to be quickly. People are planning 10 gigawatt data centers. Just to do the translation, an average nuclear power plant in the United States is 1 gigawatt. How many nuclear power plants can we make in 1 year where we're planning this 10 gigawatt data center? Gives you a sense of how big this crisis is. Many people think that the demand of energy part that our industry takes will go from 3% to 99% of total generation. One of the estimates that I think is most likely is that data centers will require an additional 29 gigawatts of power by 2027 and 67 more gigawatts by 2030. Gives you a sense of the scale that we're talking. These things are industrial at a scale I have never seen in my life.
So it's the same CEO, Eric Schmidt. As you heard, we need all forms of energy because the demand is expanding. The demand is going high. And one last, maybe two last statements is coal has 7 lives. That's what I believe. It has got its cycles. It goes up, it goes down. But at the end of the day, it survives because as I showed you in the graphs, in China, in India, in Southeast Asia, and in South Africa, we really need coal. We need to burn coal. We have to accept the fact that we need all forms of energy, and when we need all these forms of energy, we just need to make sure that we use in the right space, and we use it in the right form, and we use the right technologies to make sure that the decarbonization happens so that we don't actually pollute the world. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. Vuslat.
I did on time.
We can have a conversation standing if you're
Sure,
okay with
no
that.
problem.
Feels like we're in a British Parliament now. Now we can be rooties otherwise standing. Vuslat, South Africa, is it ever going to be a hub for AI data centers? Is that realistic? Do we even have a plan? You know, we always start with a roadmap into nothing, into the future, into 2035. Yeah. Do we even have that for data centers at this stage?
I don't think we have a plan, and I don't think South Africa will be an AI hub in the world. I think US is the AI hub for the world, and China is trying to compete with United States. but I think it will be difficult for them to surpass United States. I think we just need to benefit from like what is happening in the world, and we create jobs, we create
So
our
we will be the
own-
coal miners
Yes.
supplying into the world for their data centers, if I
100%.
paraphrase what you
100%.
said.
And also, like, my whole point is the world needs more power. So, I mean, the topics that we discuss in South Africa, like you say, do we have plan for data centers? My question is, do we have plan for our power stations? I don't think we have plan. Salas is saying like we're going to hear from them what's going to happen, but I read in the papers that they're planning to close power stations and put solar power panels, which they did in Komati and then it didn't work. So I think we should ask like more, do we have a rail plan? Do we have a plan like, does Transnet have a plan to rail coal, iron ore and manganese, or are they trying to still move timber and phosphate and whatever they can find? So I think the critical thing is that we need to go back and ask ourselves, okay, what are the basics? Do we have any plans for the basics? And I hope that when Russell is here, I would be here and asking the questions, because, I mean, I find, for instance, Transnet in a very peculiar situation. They don't know what they're doing. At least Eskom, these engineers came and then they fixed certain things for the moment, but we don't know what's going to happen for the future if they don't if you don't invest in coal and nuclear, and if you don't actually expedite the renewable energy having access to the grid, then we will go back to the load shedding. So I think AI data center concept is far-fetched from South Africa. I think this is more like a concept of the developed world's discussions, and we can hopefully benefit from that.
If these AI centers are going to be in America, the US, I mean, there will be a post-Trump US again, or they're going to be in Europe and China, they don't need baseload power. They need 24/7 power. No? So they don't, I mean, they're not heavy turning machines. They just need access to electricity. So what I'm trying to understand is the power could come from renewables or nuclear, or it doesn't have to come from coal. You're not making a case that it must be coal. You just say there will be demand and coal could contribute.
My case is like AI needs uninterrupted power.
Yes.
And renewable energy cannot provide that. That's the fact at the moment. The people who are in the room who are for renewables might disagree with me, but I don't have any technology yet that a renewable energy can provide uninterrupted power unless if you are powering a household. But you can't actually power a smelter or an AI data. And the AI or the computing infrastructure needs really uninterrupted power because it needs cooling. Otherwise you're going to burn the servers. So you can't afford to use wind or solar. I think wind and solar have got its own place, but if they come and be heroically say, okay, no, we're going to save the world, it's wrong. It's not going to happen. It didn't happen. It's not going to happen. Today's problem of Europe is literally relying heavily on renewable energy.
If this was a battery conference, I'm sure you could have used your slides to make the case for, and there's coal, which we don't want, and there's wind and solar, which is interrupted, and the solution is battery.
Yeah. Look, battery, look, you know the game better than me, but battery story is more about electric vehicles. So the industrial scale batteries are not working yet. There's no successful example that works properly yet. But electric vehicles, yes. Your manganese batteries, your nickel, your lithium ion batteries, they work. And that's where I think revolution is happening. And it's going to happen faster, which like created a lot of problem for platinum industry. But it's going to happen again. It's going to carry on happening. But I don't think the batteries are working for the industrial scale applications.
The one thing, Vuslat, that despite being exposed to you passionate coal miners for 10 years now, the one thing I still don't believe, and I know you believe it, is I think carbon capture is a hoax.
Okay.
It works, but it's not cost effective. The numbers you quote sound huge. I'm sure it's 1% of the carbon emissions of the coal industry. Isn't it just greenwashing? Carbon capture. I know you disagree with me, so I'm putting my view so that you
I'm
can
just trying to
disagree
be
with
polite like to the AI. I'm trying to be polite to Bernard so that he invites me again.
I'm pushing
next year.
you to be less polite. Don't be polite.
No, look, I hear you. I think we can only see that, like, if we make an application in South Africa. So I'm not an expert in CCUS, okay? So, like, I have my own doubts and I have my own views about renewable energy being baseload or replacing baseload. I respect your view. I think that's something that one has to go deeper, but that's the only way to solve the concept of coal-fired power stations to the banks or to the world. And China is doing that, and it's working.
But you acknowledge that we need to find cleaner coal, greener coal, and I'm questioning whether carbon capture is going to live up to expectations, but I would love to be wrong, obviously.
Yeah, look, you know, I think this is all about making profits, because at the end of the day, we leave a carbon footprint when we are building solar panels or windmills. So there is nothing like zero carbon footprint. It's impossible. I mean, we talk about hydrogen, green hydrogen. I mean, Sasol tried. It doesn't make any sense when it comes to industrial scale. So at the end of the day, I think all these forms of energy have got a place in our lives. So it's actually unnecessary to say, okay, the coal is bad, but then you go out and then you start your internal combustion engine and you go home. Then walk. Why don't you walk to the home? That's the cleanest way. You know, like when people talk about these kind of things, like you have to be kind of like, you have to be stable in what you're saying, what you're doing in life. So we all create carbon footprints in our lives. And I think if we can use wind energy or solar energy, wherever we can use, we should use it. But it's not necessary to say bad things about coal. We must finish coal. We mustn't do anything about coal. I think especially for a country like South Africa, coal has an important place in our lives, and we can't actually get rid of coal.
I want to ask you a Menar question, if I may. Mike Teke says he's not a coal company that is abandoning coal to go into renewables. He's an energy company.
Right.
Menar is in coal, proudly so, but you're going beyond coal.
Yeah.
But not on the energy theme. You're going into manganese and other things. So just give us the 1 minute logic of your repositioning and your diversification.
So the idea is, like, we started about like 5-6 years ago, how we can diversify, what other minerals we can get involved. We looked at manganese, we looked at chrome, we looked at gold. And I mean, look at gold now. It's a natural hedge for anything, because when everything is down, gold is doing extremely good. We have 2 gold assets that we are busy with. One is in Kyrgyzstan, the other one is in Alaska, in the US. And manganese, we recently acquired metalloys from Swanepoel manganese. We want to bring it back. We want to show the country that, like, we can do it. Eskom is coming to the party. They are going to give a special tariff to all ferroalloy producers. I think that's important. Like that could bring metalloys back into production with 2 furnaces. And we have a large manganese deposit in Kalahari Basin. So look, for us, it's about like hedging our risks, because like coal has got its spikes, but it has also got its downside. We're not looking at acquiring new coal assets, but rather looking at like other things outside coal, because we've got enough exposure to coal.
Ladies, gentlemen, unashamedly pro-coal outlook. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Vuslat.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.